All right, hey guys, Jason here, Samco Tradbow. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the longbow, why I choose a longbow. What is it about the longbow that makes people go to it when you got such great recurves, and recurves are faster and they're shorter, and they can put more accessories on them, they got more real estate to look prettier. There's a lot of beautiful, they got a lot of nice sexy curves to them. Why a longbow? What is it about a longbow that makes us kind of go crazy for a longbow? I've shot now traditional for 31 years, and all but the first few of those years were with a longbow. Once I shot a longbow, and I got my first one, a Thunderhorn, or Jim Reynolds Thunder Stick 1, the original that John had made for me. Once I got that bow and I shot it, I never went back. Was it, done. Longbow from there on out. So there's nothing wrong with recurves. There's nothing wrong with them at all. It's all preference purposes. For me personally, in my opinion, the longbow is kind of the ultimate weapon for hunting. I really like it. I like how simple it is in design. Okay, I don't have any bolts in it. I don't have any fade outs, or I mean any bolts, or I don't have any limb curl. I don't have any string contact between the bow and the limb that's going to make noise. I don't have a lot of features there that you get with a recurve that are not on this. It's just simple. I don't have to fight with my location on my grip. I don't have to mess with that. It's just all very easy. They're also very, very light. Okay, a lot of people think it's a bad idea to put a quiver on one even because they're so light. I'll never not have a quiver on my bow. But it is very nice and light to carry this bow around. And when we're out here like this, where I'm hog hunting right now, I mean, I did 4 miles this morning. We're at lunch break now, and I'm going to probably do another 4 miles today. 8 miles of walking, carrying a bow in your hand. Lightweight matters, and you know, for a lot of this kind of stuff. And a longbow is just a very nice lightweight setup. There's also the way the limbs are and how the limbs draw. Okay, when you draw this, the way the limbs flex in just one smooth direction, linear, makes a big difference for me. It feels like you're bending a stick. That draw stroke is linear. It doesn't have that feel of feeling the springs of the flat part of the limb opening, the limb tips opening. You know, it's just, I don't know, it feels different. Not quite so springy, more bendy, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it to you. When it comes to shootability, I do believe that you can't go wrong with any of them. But what I like about the longbow is that the shelf is designed for my hand to be right on there. See, so when my hand is right on that shelf like that, it doesn't matter how I shoot. For example, here, if we take my judo, I'll pull my tab off, throw that in my pocket here for a minute. But so when we shoot this, and I put this on here, with a recurve where you got a little distance between there, between the shelf and where your hand is up underneath the ledge of the handle, as I turn this, look at it does to the arrow, okay? See how the arrow moves as I turn that hand? Hang on, put that back on there. Okay, well you can see here how that's gonna turn, and it pivots the whole arrow. Now on this bow, how I shoot, if you watch any of my Patreon stuff where you actually see me shoot, I suck right up into that tight. Now when I pivot around, it doesn't matter how I cant that bow, that arrow doesn't move because it is right on my hand, right at the top of my hand, versus here, where it pivots the whole arrow out of the way. And so there's a big difference in that. So shooting in my positions that I'm shooting in gives me a lot of flexibility because of having that hand tucked right up on that bow, right on there nice and tight, so that when I come in, that bow is, or that arrow is riding right on top of my hand. I really like that feature a lot. That's why I shoot a straight grip longbow. Okay, no locator, no nothing in there. I'm real happy with that. I like it. I've been shooting them ever since I got my first Northern Miss Classic bow. Whatever it's been, about 10 years ago, never look back. We'll never shoot anything else other than a hill style bow. This is the only thing I have any interest in shooting, is an ASL hill style longbow. So they're very functional. Now they are longer, yes, but the length doesn't matter. This is resting on my foot right next to where I am. You can see it's basically the same height as I am on my foot. There's on the ground. But I'm okay with that because of the fact that, again, I can cant this and shoot in so many different directions, and I shoot this way a lot from the ground. You know, it's very fitting for my lifestyle and the way I shoot. So that's kind of the beauty of them. You know, they're lightweight, they're forgiving, they're fast enough. They're not as fast as your modern recurves are, but I've never shot a bow through a chronograph, and I've also never had a problem killing an animal with one. So that's irrelevant. I blow through everything all day anyway, and I have no fears whatsoever on that. So when it comes to a longbow, the simplicity wins for me. I also like the design of the limbs, the thickness. Look at how thick that is all the way through. Thick all the way through. Here too, you're not going to bend a limb, okay? You're not going to twist a limb. You're not bend, sorry. You're not going to twist a limb on this. You're not going to mess anything up. There's less chance of failure. Any bow can fail, but there's less chance of it in a longbow. They're just more durable and built to take the kind of abuse, in my opinion, and they're just straight up sexy. Now, another advantage to it is because I don't have all that stuff, that limb or the string coming in contact with the limb like we do on a recurve, it makes this a very valuable tool for me here for moving brush out of the way. So like this tree right here, whether you can see if I put this in here and I get this caught in there, I pull that off, it comes right out. Okay, you do this with a recurve and it jams in there. So for me, I can take this and as I'm walking through the brush, just simply push stuff right out of the way with this. I turn it and I use a string. You can see how beat up my string gets, pulled out, all that stuff. But I take my bow and I just push stuff out of the way. Anywhere I need to move, I can just move things out of the way. Okay, there's nothing to it to move it with that. If I do that with a recurve, most likely I'm getting stuff stuck in that gap in there. Down here, never something I would have thought of really when I lived in Michigan, but living down here now, that is a major asset, being able to do this and to move brush out of the way and push things over with that bow. And it works. It's functional. It is a hunting tool for me, and it does an incredible job at that. Now, as far as the wood setup and stuff like that in here, you're right, it doesn't get as pretty as a recurve because you don't have all this huge riser to give you all these shapes and all these curly things. It's much more simple in design. It also does not need a stringer. Okay, recurves all need a stringer. This one, you can put it on the inside of your foot. My boot's all muddy. I'm not doing it right now, but you can put it in here and bend this and unstring it and then restring it the same way if you want to. So you have that luxury of doing that too, which is also why mine does not have limb tip overlays on it. I have the red power wedges of fiberglass in there. So I have fiberglass here, fiberglass on the back, and a hardcore spacer of phenolic in there that's going to protect everything, just like a limb overlay would, tip overlay. But by not having that, when I do string this and I want to push that up and I'm fighting to push that string up on here and push that up, it's easier because I don't have to go up and over that limb tip, that overlay, so it just makes it nice. I do still use a stringer all the time, but it is a nice feature there. So like I said, longbow, recurve, this age-old thing goes back and forth, and there is no right, there is no wrong, there's whatever is best for you. Now, longbow is going to be harder to get used to if you're transitioning from a compound to traditional recurve. With its grip style and its mass and everything to it will feel much more natural. This takes a little bit of difference. And I love how quiet these are. They're dead silent when you shoot them because you don't have that string slap on the limbs. You don't have that noise. There's something about them that they're super, super quiet. Now, people have talked about hand shock. There is no hand shock in one of my bows at all. The reason for it is hand shock is not a product of a bow. Hand shock is a product of an arrow. Okay, the arrow is what caused that. When you take an arrow and you're going to put a lightweight arrow on one of these bows, look at this heft and thickness of these limbs. Okay, that's a lot of beef in that limb and a lot of weight going forward in the limb. Okay, and when you do that, you got to have an arrow that's capable of absorbing all the energy it puts in there. You want an arrow, okay? I mean, here's the rule to shooting a longbow is an arrow. Look at this on here. Let's see here. Look at that. That's what 31% FOC looks like on an arrow right there for you. And that's what 720 grains of arrow weight is. This thing is 720 grains with 450 up front. When I shoot this thing, there is no hand shock whatsoever. There is no feel of any of that in this thing. It's just going to light up and it goes and it does its thing perfectly. So if you're getting hand shock in a longbow or you're complaining about it hurting you or hurting your elbow or anything like that, you're probably shooting too light of arrows. Okay, you should be shooting 11, 12 grains per pound. I don't know what mine come out to. It's a 57-pound bow, 720 grain arrow. If you're shooting a 50-pound bow and you're using a 500 grain arrow, probably going to have some problems there. Okay, it's probably not going to work real good for you. You're probably not going to like the way it shoots. Probably not going to like a lot of things about it. If you're shooting a 50-pound bow with a 600 grain arrow, now you're starting to talk the right language. Okay, so understand that. But there is, there's no right or wrong answer to it, but when it comes to me and my setup, a longbow wins for me hands down. I will never shoot another recurve the rest of my life. I'll never own one. I don't want to say never because I may someday, but honestly, I've spent, like I said, 30 years shooting these. I have no interest in shooting anything other than a longbow. I have no interest under any circumstances of using anything other than this. They're also very easy to maintain, very easy to touch up. They're just, like I said, and they're just nice and light and easy. I just, you know, I really can't put it any other way. Nothing wrong with a recurve, but people ask all the time, why a longbow? Why always a longbow? Why always a longbow? Doesn't it suck in tree stands? No, it does not. Doesn't it suck in ground blinds? I don't hunt out of ground blinds, but I used to when I was in Michigan and never had a problem. There is no place that a longbow suffers. None whatsoever. No place that suffers, especially when you learn to shoot it right now. If you are a vertical shooter like this all the time, yeah, in some places, in some areas, it might become a nuisance bumping into your legs and stuff. But when you learn to shoot one like this, the world opens up and you can do everything in the world you want to with it. So longbow, recurve, don't matter. But for me, longbow all day for these reasons. Cannot beat it, hands down. The simplicity, the durability, the quietness, the lightness, the cast, the forgiveness in it because of the linear design of the limbs. Everything about it for me wins hands down. The grip, the shelf, everything. Straight up love it. So thanks for watching.